If you look at rural America, where I live, there's nothing better for that rural economy than livestock production. But really, what else could you work on in your lifetime that's more critical to your fellow human beings? Well, we produce corn and soybeans primarily, and now we feed pigs on contract up until 15 years ago or 16. And then for a long time, we fed about 400 head of cattle. Early 50s and 50s, 60s, we had a tremendous change in agriculture in general. Our production per individual, per farm, just skyrocketed. We had more meat, more produce than we could ever consume domestically. Transportation and storage and movement of meat products had greatly improved. We had containerized systems. We had the ability to vacuum pack. So we had the ability to sell and transport meat around the world. And in my opinion, I think these factors all pushed us together to say, we need to do something in the export market.
That's kind of how USMEF was formed. We have 9 sectors of membership. We have soybean producers, corn producers, cattle, lamb, pig producers that are part of the process, in addition to the area I was familiar with, which is the exporting side. My history goes back to 1983 when I started in the business. Exports in those days were just beginning in a lot of cases. In fact, one of my jobs as a trainee was taking samples to airports to, 1 box of pork loins to be air freighted to Japan.
I moved to the Meat Export Federation in '84 and worked there for 10 years. It was a minuscule business in 1984. We didn't have a lot of support in those days. I think our budget in 1984 was $3 million.
Well, it was stressful, but we were youthful, and it was fun. It was fun, and it was kind of Wild West because there was no precedent.
You might say the Wild West because nobody had an idea what they were doing.
Yeah, waking up in a cold sweat thinking about some of the challenges. Keep in mind, in the early years, when exports were only 1 or 2% of production, we kind of flew under the radar.
We pretty much were the Wild West because they would let us do about anything we wanted to. We would be negotiating with politicians. We would be, discussing all the opening of the trade agreements because nobody knew anything about this but the Meat Export Federation. The MEF was the catalyst that was really going in. We were the first wave to go into countries and establish customers and to talk to them about the markets and to convey that information back to the producers.
I was hired in Hong Kong in 1989 as the region exploded for U.S. red meat. And the 90s were just crazy.
The U.S. really had no trade agreements. We didn't have trade agreements with other countries. Everything was bilateral.
You had a lot of market access issues. You had a lot of tariffs, non-tariff trade barriers that would pop up over time. Between the 80s and the 90s, it became evident that we need to formalize some of these agreements.
You had the Uruguay round meld into GATT, and as the import barriers came down, American meat became affordable to mass consumers. The meat could be sold in supermarkets. It wasn't just for the hotels or fancy restaurants. It was available to consumers.
Yes, the rest is history, but I would say that it was really a blessing because I really came into an era where I believe all of the international markets were developed within about that 10-year period. So the MEF, the fishbowl of everybody that's in agriculture, all came together with one key focus, and that was to add value to American producers through the export of red meat.